We've started.
Yep.
We've started. Welcome to Right Now Podcast, Album of the Year List 2023. We've been gone for about a year. Life finds a way, blah, blah, blah. But we're talking about albums that came out in 2023 that me and Tom
Hello. Decided that
enjoyed.
we decided that we'd actually get back for the end of the year list. So there's a couple of rules before we kick in. First of all, it has to be a full LP released in the year 2023, and that also excludes deluxe editions of previous years released in 2023. So I've got a couple of honourable mentions first. So I'll let Connor you do yours.
I'm doing mine first. Okay. I have Black Braid 2. Black metal album, fantastic stuff. I'm not the biggest black metal fan, but this is just beautiful and serene and got nature stuff in it. I like nature stuff, and especially in black metal, fantastic. Gunship, Unicorn, uh, very 80s inspired synthwave, not synthwave, synthy EDM metal. Good shit, good shit. And Enter Shikari Kiss the Horde, the goats of UK quotation marks metal, quotation marks rock, alt scene, and yeah, just another banging album by them. Just didn't reach into the top 10, but still very good stuff.
Yep. All pretty good albums there. I mean, we'll see if any of them pop up on my list in a little bit. But as for my
Tough.
three,
Spoilers, darling.
spoilers. Oh, oopsie. As for my three, I've gone for some kind of different approaches here. I put the Calistar Boys, God Smiles Upon the Calistar Boys, which was
You
a
cheated.
EP released, which is why it's not made it to the list, even though it is a absolute stunning, release for them. It's the first release with the guitarist Dan, and just the addition that makes to a band that was already releasing some of the best like mathcore in the scene at the time. Listen to it if you haven't. If you like mathcore, you're gonna fucking love it. Bajalvin with a Bajubal. This is a bit of a meme pick, really, but it's one of them ones that grows on you and it's actually pretty enjoyable if you like cyber grind.
I
Finally,
cannot stand this. He talks about it too much.
finally, Dodhemsgard. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Dodheimsgard?
Yeah, with Black Medium Current. It's very much your avant-garde pick for the year, and I just couldn't squeeze it into the top 10. But if you're wanting something a bit more thought-provoking, this is probably the album for you this year. Same time,
That
actual
is
top
that is a
10s.
fantastic album.
Yeah,
It just didn't make my honorable mentions. It just didn't make the list, but it is fantastic.
yeah, it's one of them albums you want to stick on, maybe on a journey, or so at least in a situation where you can just sit and listen to the full thing, and really take it. It's not something you'd be listening to every day, but for what it is,
No, but
it's
it's a
a
vibe.
piece of
It's a vibe.
art, Okay,
Number 10.
number 10. I'll let you kick this off.
No, you go first. You're on the left. Read left to right.
Well, oopsie daisy. Okay, so I put in my number 10, Empire State Bastard with Palms of Hands. Now, this is a side project of Simon Neil of Biffy
Is
Clyro.
it not Rivers of Hersey?
Oh, yeah, it is. Oopsie. I read it wrong.
Ugh, it
That,
doesn't even know the album. He put it in 10th place and he doesn't know the album.
that's because I've wrote it down wrong.
Fool.
I've wrote the song. Yeah, Rivers of Heresy. Now, as I said, this was a side project by Simon Neil along with the guitarist, the touring guitarist. Um, and it's a 10-song long LP, including some absolute bangers such as Harvester and Shutter, Palms of Hands itself, which I've wrote down as the album name for some reason. Obviously, enjoyed it quite a lot. And I'll pass it on to you.
I'm going to talk a little bit about this album because you've clearly enjoyed this much more than I did. I thought it was all right. I don't want to do negative at the start of the thing, but you've started with this album. Shutter is absolutely fantastic, but I don't think the rest of the album lived up to that level for me.
Mm.
It's a lot of samey. I appreciate the experimentalness, but yeah, it felt very samey to me.
Yeah, I think that was kind of intended in what it was going for. It's a bit almost art house, um, not quite to the extreme of something like Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum, but definitely inspired on the more abstract um, ideas musically there is. But I think it does come together to be a piece that I've put on quite a few times, and every time a song does pop up, it's one of the ones that I always flick and go, "Oh yeah, that is a banger."
I'll go on to my number 10, so we don't spam video. Number 10, Holding Absence, The Noble Art of Self-Destruction. Great album. Holding Absence back with best album they've done, maybe. Debatable.
Debatable,
Boy is
certainly
hit again.
debatable.
Yeah, Greatest Mistakes, also fantastic. They don't drop the ball. Every album, EP, piece of music they make is top notch. And yeah, this is just another piece in a practically perfect catalogue.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty perfect step forward for them creatively and artistically. It allows Lucas a lot of range, vocally. And seeing them live a couple of times this year, it really shows a lot of the new stuff goes hard live, a lot heavier than on record, and a lot more heart as well. And I think it's a great
Yeah,
album
they
full of some
follow that sort
atmospheric
of like
tracks.
they follow that mental health guide that they've sort of latched onto. I don't want to say latched onto, that's not the right word, but they've got a lot of talk of
Themed,
mental
yeah,
health, which short which draws a lot of emotion to the music.
yeah. Okay, I'd say we jump on
Number
to
nine.
number 9. Now we've actually figured out how to talk again. It's been a minute. Okay, so number 9. I put Terracite by Cattle Decapitation. Now, this is a band that I always tend to go back to, especially in sort of the heavier realms of heavy metal. Um, and when Death Atlas came out in, I believe, 2019, I think
Yeah.
they really cemented themselves as still kicking strong in terms of the death metal sphere. And Terracite was probably my top 3 most anticipated releases of 2023. I'd say it pretty much lived up to the expected height. Um, and I don't want to speak like too much, but I would highly recommend it if you are into maybe modern death metal. I think the growls in particular, the way he does them, some of the most interesting there is. And I think it adds a lot of dimensions to some of the songwriting and just lets them get away with a little bit more.
Yeah, it's more deathful with grind influences than it is a grindcore album.
Mm.
They've certainly moved on as a band, but
Yeah,
that's not a bad thing. They've evolved and made their sound better and better over time.
yeah, it's in a weird spot where I would call it very accessible death metal. Um,
When you compare it to what they've done in the past,
yeah, yeah, yeah. When you,
it's like
especially when
this
you
is
compare
this
it,
is quote unquote accessible.
um, but that is not a diss in any way towards it. Accessible is a good thing. More people can get into this type of music that we obviously love. You're number
Jump
9,
onto
sir.
Kalmar.
Yeah,
Kalmar. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I believe so.
I'd not heard of this band before this year,
Really,
and I know that they're apparently death metal legends.
they've been around a hot minute.
Yeah. So I didn't know what to expect. It was kind of getting to the end of the year for me. I was going through albums that I'd missed, and this was one of them. Some of them weren't. I was expecting this to just be another mediocre one that passed me by. I put this on, and the death metal that came out of this was so fucking good.
Yeah,
Fuck YouTube for saying that swearing's not allowed. We've passed the minute and a half mark by now. But yeah, this is a fucking great album.
yeah,
I My mind's wandering. Yeah, this is great. The riffs in it are fantastic. It's memorable. It's clean. The production is fantastic. Song after song after song, I was like, God, this could go on my playlist. God, this could go on I can't put the whole album on my playlist, but I felt like I should. I need to revisit it again because I've only had a few because of that. But goddamn, is it good death metal?
Well, I've not listened to this album maybe as much as you have, and that's maybe my own fault. But you know, Calmore is one of them bands that I probably got into maybe around 2018 with their release of Palo, and being the self-titled, obviously I jumped on this one. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. Didn't add it to my list because it was more Calmer, which is not a bad thing at all. I mean, certainly, obviously, you being a new fan, it shows the quality of the music
Yeah, I
that they've
don't have that
released.
context to be like, oh, it's just more.
Yeah, being more is not necessarily always a bad thing. That's just what pushed outside of my top 10 anyway. But brilliant release, melodic death metal legend, of course. I don't really have much of a bad word to say about it.
Number eight.
Number eight.
Number
Ooh,
eight.
okay. Now we're getting spicy. So number eight, I
We're
put
going places.
Haken's Fauna. Now this came out around March, I believe,
Yep, March.
and this is one of the few things we've actually reviewed on this channel. So if you wish to
You can check
watch
it
the full
out
review,
on the
you can check out
YouTube.
the full breakdown. But essentially, to summarize, I thought this was quintessentially probably a very complete progressive metal product. Very mature in sound. I think there's some brilliant ideas that have gone into this, and the soundscape that they create is almost magical. I don't want to really delve into this one too much for a couple of reasons, and there is the full review again on our channel. But Fauna by Haken at number 8.
And for me, apologies, Black Orchid Empire. I can't remember the name of the album. Oh well, just Google Black Orchid Empire. That'll do. What was it? That's gonna annoy me now.
It's because
Oh,
you didn't write it
anyway,
out. You didn't write it out.
yeah, I didn't. I just wrote Black Orchid Empire. You know what? This album shocked me. It again. What it's. I didn't expect much from it because I didn't know the band. It's still quite a small band, and
Tempest
so I was like, oh,
Veritas.
I know they're kind of rocky, but
Mm.
I didn't know where the rock would go with it.
Yeah, they're one of
I didn't
them.
expect it to be like quite as heavy as it
Yeah,
was. It's quite hard rock,
yeah.
and
There's certainly some interesting progressive elements and sort of hopping between styles that go on.
Tempest Veritas.
Yes.
There you go. There's the album name. That was why I was stuttering so much because I was googling.
Yeah.
Tempest Veritas by Black Orchid Empire is a fantastic progressive rock album
Now he's got his
in
notes.
which I've not even got notes. This is just me reeling off the top of my head. This is shocking.
Scuffed.
This is what a year away will do to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Our media literacy has gone downhill a little
It's
bit.
dead. It's dead. No, but when I put this on, it was kind of similar to Kalmar in a sense, but I knew who Black Orchid Empire were.
Mm.
Just song after song just gripped me, and they kind of swerve you about going from like the light rock into then that hard crushing, pushing in a metal almost, but still certainly within the bounds of rock.
Yeah. This, for me, similar to Kalmar's situation, where one of their previous releases in Semaphore it just kind of pushed it out of my top sort of 20 range. A brilliant release, yeah, again, but quite happily more of a good thing. Um, so highly recommend listening to it if you like a bit of jumping around. They're not going to be the most extreme band you'll ever hear, but if you're interested in compositions that sort of are going to take you between rock elements to metal elements, they've got a sort of great catalogue already.
A small catalog, but certainly a catalog.
Yeah, good catalogue. And they tend to do
Number 7.
touring quite often.
Oh,
Number 7, yeah.
jumping ahead. I'm jumping ahead. Number 7. Let's get through this.
Yeah, let's bang through this. So my number 7 is The Death We Seek by Currents. I'm quite a fan of metalcore. Currents are probably my favorite metalcore band, so I may be a little bit biased in putting this at 7. Um, I think this was just another brilliant release by them. They're a band that sort of wears their heart on their sleeve, from the lyrics to every breakdown, whether it's one that makes you want to swing your fist into the next person's face, or maybe cuddle and cry a little. Um, this is one of the ones where, even just from hearing a few singles, I was so hyped for the full release, and it really didn't disappoint. If you're a fan of metalcore, modern metalcore, this is an album not to miss.
Yeah, solid album. Can't argue.
Well, on to your number 7.
My number 7.
Yes, sir.
The Ocean Holocene. Chill prog. It's not as hard hitting as their past albums. It's more experimental than their past albums. And while I would say their past albums are better, especially Fanazonics, this doesn't feel like a step down. It feels like certainly a step in a different direction, but it doesn't feel like a step down. It feels like they're trying something new, just temporarily, and playing with that prog, playing with chill, while also keeping a very ocean sound to them.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a very mature release from an already quite mature band, that really wants to take its time and bring you through the time period in which case the album's set around, being obviously the Holocene. If you know anything about geographical periods of time for the Earth, then this is certainly an album for you. And obviously their entire back catalogue, to be honest, at that.
Yeah, it also juggles with philosophy quite a bit. If you look into the lyrics, they're quite interesting.
Hmm.
Unconformities is a standout of the album for me. Juggling between the lead singer, who normally there, and the guest.
Yeah. So I believe we're good to jump on to number 6.
6.
Okay.
Now they can see why I didn't talk a lot for Currents.
Yeah, we've gone full metalcore for number 6. Modern metalcore reign supreme here. Um, so I've picked Silent Planet's Super Bloom, which for me just edged out Currents. Now, this is something I didn't really expect going into the year, um, but to be honest, it's when it comes to a top 10, it's how much you play something sometimes. And I have played this album quite literally to death, um, from the singles to the entire track list. I mean, just bangers to list off: Collider, Dreamwaker, Antimatter, Signal, The Overgrowth. Every single one of these has me practically fucking two-stepping in the living room, uh, even with my bad knees. So some really interesting ideas, and I think they're one of them bands that are going to be pushing the sphere of modern metalcore for the next couple of years, and I'm really excited to see what they do next.
Yeah, I've heard from Jim you've been playing this album a lot,
A few times.
which honestly does surprise me because we've got metalcore on here, but we're not the biggest metalcore fans in the world.
Mm. I,
We
I in
tend to prefer
particular,
more
yeah,
technical.
I in particular usually am a avid metalcore non-enjoyer. There's a few bands I like, and that's about it. But yeah, Currents and Silent Planet really did it for me this year.
As you're saying, the singles slapped. Collider is a banger, but for me, it doesn't fit into my top 10. It lacks in places, but it hits that that Thal, bends, guitars, riff.
Mm.
slams you about, hard influences, technical, just beautiful metalcore, good technical modern
it's an easy
metalcore.
listen. It's a really easy modern listen. I think what edged it just above current to me is that it's a little bit easier headspace wise to have fun with this album. And sometimes having fun's a good thing when everything's a bit
Mhm.
bleak in the world. Um, sometimes I do just want a mind-numbingly two step.
No hardcore on these lists, though. Spoilers.
No hardcore, not this year.
My number six, Currents. It's well, kind of what Tom said. From the moment that the singles dropped, they got my attention. It's a step up for me. It's not a step up from their whole career. I Let the Devil In stands far and away above the best Currents album as one of the
A
best
place I feel
metalcore
safest.
albums.
Sorry,
Nope,
sorry. There's something in my
I Let the
throat.
Devil
Sorry,
In.
sorry. There's something in my throat.
Yeah. But after whatever the last album was called, that I
Apnea?
always forget the name of.
No, Apnea is the song. No, I can't think of the name of the
No,
album.
what was the last album?
Uh,
It has a flag to wave on. I don't care. It was mid. It was so mid for Currents. It's got some like decent bits, but not in comparison to everything else they've done. This is a
the way it
solid return to
ends.
form.
That's it. The way it
The
ends.
way it ends, thank you. And compared to this, where it's just heavy and nasty for Currents, and it feels more emotional, like they should be, charging at you with coming onto deathcore level vocals and
Mm,
musics.
yeah, I don't think it's.
Vengeance is crushing.
Yeah, Vengeance is an amazing song. Remember Me is an amazing song.
Remember Me is my most listened to song according to Spotify Wrapped. And So Alone, starting off chill. I remember listening to So Alone with Tom when it first came out, and Tom thinking, "Oh, this is going to absolutely not being at all." But yeah, absolutely solid album. I enjoyed it from start to finish. I need to listen to it again and again, and probably add some more songs because I probably glanced over them first time round.
No. Now, while I don't dislike the way it ends maybe as much as you do, I do think that the Death We Seek is 1,000,000% the better album of the two, and I think it's a great direction for the band to be heading. The true sort of almost deathcore elements, what they needed at times to really throttle that emotional level they wanted up to 10.
Yeah, they got
So
to toe that deathcore metalcore line quite well.
yeah, okay, let's jump on to number five. So we've got our first double repeat, I believe.
A return.
Um, so I have put Holocene at number five by the Ocean Collective. I believe they just go by the Ocean now. This is a band I've seen live quite a few times and have thoroughly enjoyed pretty much every album they've ever done. Again, like I said before, this is a very mature album for them. It takes its time to breathe. It can get as heavy as they've ever gone before, but a lot of the time it just wants to sort of mellow in between building an atmosphere for the time period which this album is set around. As I said before, some real standouts are Unconformalities with Karen Park doing some guest vocals on that. The sort of bridge chorus towards the end of that song is absolutely phenomenal. Sea of Reeds and Primordial, as well as Sublantic, amazing to see. Live, they kick in twice as hard as well. Uh, Definitely worth a watch. And if you're into prog
I'm going
metal,
to point out as well while you were
mm,
talking about songs, Parabiosis. I
yes,
believe it was the second single that came out, and
hmm
it took a few listens for me to get into that song. But that song absolutely fucking kicks now.
yeah. It's if you've got the patience for this sort of style of metal, then you will probably absolutely love this album. To be honest, a lot of their catalog, but it does require a bit of patience to just bear with it let the builds happen. Let the flow of the album and the songs sort of go together. It's an album that should be listened to in full, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's a very slow build, especially compared to past efforts.
Hmm. So, on to your number five. We've seen this one before.
Cal Decap, boys, how do they keep getting better? Going from one of the best grindcore bands to one of the best death metal bands is wild, almost unexpected, kind of expected. It's just slaps from beginning to end. Scourge of the Offspring highlight,
Hmm.
probably. Uh, what else was there? Dead End Relatives. I think that was the name of the song. I'm not very good with remembering things today, clearly.
Well, it's our first time recording in a while. Some mistakes are
And
allowable.
a Phobonic Doom as well. Oh god, if we record another one, I'll make notes maybe.
Um,
Maybe. I don't think I've made notes for any of them. I don't
well,
care. A
yeah,
Phobonic Doom, that also fucking slaps. We started with We Are Young, which I believe was the first single.
yeah,
And as
that's
soon as
that's
we
got some
got
really
that,
cool parts.
we just knew that they were back again with another. It was just going to be a fantastic death metal album from start to end.
Hmm.
I didn't think I'd enjoy this as much as I did. I Death Atlas is probably my second favorite Kettle Decap album,
Yeah, I think that's a fair placement.
and but it's not. It doesn't have that start to end value that Terrasite does.
Mm.
Terrasite felt like a solid effort from beginning to end, not a bad song, and to finish with Just Another Body. Cal Decap doing a fucking 10-minute song is
Yeah,
wild, but here we are in now 2024, and we've got a 10-minute Cal Decap song, and it slaps, and it's not drawn out. Holy fuck, yeah, fantastic album. Recommend if you're into that sort of heavier, grindy, deathy style, deathcore even.
right. One final thing before we move on to number four is thoughts on the album art, because this was quite controversial when it first popped up.
Oh, okay. You want that? The album's fantastic. The album art shit.
I quite like the album art. I think it's
It
weird.
fucking sucks
I
ass.
love the colours. I think it's a cool little bug creature, you know.
No, when you have Death Atlas, where you've got fucking
No, no,
Atlas
Death
holding up the
Atlas is
triangle,
sick. I will say, Death Atlas is
and
a sick album.
or what is it? Monolith,
Monolith, yeah,
where
Monolith
you've
is
got
sick as
like
well.
the monkeys clawing off its face.
Yeah,
Like
but
those are fucking amazing album arts, and this just looks so bad and computer generated.
I think he's just a cool little like bug guy, you know.
No, give me something like the other album arts. Give me something more artistic than fucking shitty computer design. What's
Well,
worse, the design on this fucking slideshow or the album art of Cattle Decap's new
whoa,
album?
whoa, whoa! Don't diss our slideshow efforts. Our slideshow is top tier. We definitely went to school for graphic design.
Yes.
Ooh,
We should have got one of our artistic friends
so true,
to do it for us.
so true. Okay, let's get to number four.
Oh,
Um, okay, here we are. Number four, we've got another repeat. This was from Connor's honorable mentions, and I've put Enshikari's A Kiss for the Whole World at number four. Now, this falls again into the category of playing it again and again and again. This, I believe, was my most listened to album of the year and artist. Um, I've probably played every single song off this album about 100 times, from A Kiss for the Whole World to Please Set Me on Fire and It Hurts with the goofiest music video known to man, uh, to Leap Into the Lightning, Bloodshot, Goldfish, Jailbreak, Giant Pacific Octopus. They're all absolute bangers. If you're into the UK sort of alt scene, I mean, you'll not already know who Enter Shikari is, but if not, they're kind of a mix between rave, alt, metal, rock. Um,
it's good party music.
yeah, it's good party music. That they're quite politically charged. Um, you know, they care about the planet. and they channel a lot of that into their music, but with a message of let's not be depressed about it. Let's try our best to do something. So generally quite an uplifting album, something I needed this year, and that's why it's made it my number four.
Good stuff. Good stuff all around. On to what everyone fucking wants to see, Sleep Token,
Yes.
yada yada. I'm sure everyone's fucking sick of hearing about this damn album. I
No,
had to place
Sleep
it on the
Token
list.
fans want to hear more about it.
It's it's everywhere, and I can't knock it. Is the problem? I think it's a good album.
Hmm.
It's just that it's everywhere. This coming into the year with Chokehold and Summoning and watching this band grow from when I first saw them in November 2021. It's wild to go from I don't think even selling out O2 Academy 2 in Birmingham to selling out Wembley Arena is wild.
Yeah, honestly, I remember at the start of the year them jumping from like 50,000 monthly listeners. Actually, I'm probably thinking end of last year, but to now I think they're on 3.2 million in the space
Yeah,
of a
they've
year.
got a
It
lot.
is genuinely mind blowing stuff, and you've got to give credit to the guys for pulling it off. I don't really care what you think about their music to make prog songs popular with the mainstream is a feat that should be respected.
Yeah, it does have like oh, I wouldn't say poppy, but widely appealing vocals. Cecil is a fantastic singer.
A lot of
I don't
soul
think anyone can argue
elements.
that.
Yeah, a lot of soul elements in his singing. Hitting back to even like R&B and like the '90s and early
Yeah,
2000s sort of styles. But yeah, I mean, I
well,
quite enjoyed quite a
you
lot of
can
the
hear it
singles.
in you can hear it in Granite, especially where he has like a little almost rappy section.
Hmm.
It's yeah, it's also an all over the place album, going from Summoning to Granite to Aqua Regia to Vor. Those are all wildly different songs, especially Vor. I think the middle kind of lets it down a little. It's still all fantastic songs, it just doesn't hit quite as hard. And then to finish on Take Me Back to Eden and Euclid is a fantastic place to end the album in the supposed trilogy.
Yeah, I think it's a band where I think a lot of people are going to be keeping an eye on them for their next release. I think they've kind of set themselves into quite an interesting situation that we haven't seen in metal quite in a while. Like we've had other bands break out like Bad Omens and Spirit Box, but I feel like Sleep Token's kicking that potential next level. So yeah, I'd
Yeah,
be
I don't
quite
think
interested
either
to
of them
see
have
where
quite
the
done what Sleep
songwriting's going to
Token's
go.
done.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what we do here. Whether we sort of edge towards maybe a more pop focused style, or whether they want to keep towards a more progressive soul metal kind of spin on things. Um, but yeah, I'm quite happy to hear what they do next. Any final thoughts?
Number three.
Number three.
We'll move on to number three. We've been
Oh,
here for a while. Everyone's heard Sleep Token.
okay. We're going down to the top three of each of us. We've now got our own slides. I feel so special. Anyway, number three,
You
I've
are
put
special.
Hold an Absence with the Noble Art of Self Destruction. This album, again, is just for the feels. It's a very emotional album, but in kind of a happy way. This is the sort of album to make you happy cry potentially. I mentioned a little bit about it obviously when we were talking before when Connor put it on his list, but yeah, this is a pretty perfect follow up to The Greatest Mistake, and again I think it leads to them blowing up and doing very well commercially while having a lot of integrity of art as artists. Um, so yeah, I've seen the band three times this year, or last year, should I say?
Three times.
And Yeah, and every time they were absolutely brilliant. So I can't really knock the band if you don't listen. Why? Why?
I mean, I saw him twice, and one before the album and one after the album. And yeah, they are put their heart and soul into everything.
Yeah, they care. It really shows. You know, they're a band that are making music because they genuinely care about making good music. Um, and for that, every success to them. On to your number three.
Number three, Periphery 5, Gent is not a genre, a fantastic Gent album. Don't comment, I thought you were going to say something about it not
No, no,
being Gent, but
no. I agree. Gent is not a genre. Periphery is
Gent is a
progressive
genre.
metal. But
There
Gent
are
is
a,
part of progressive metal. Oh,
yeah, it's Periphery to
I see
their
your
form.
internet has stroke and decided that you are going to lag during this one. Obviously, because you
Oh,
believe
is
Gent is
it?
a genre, that's why you're getting smited.
I'm getting smited. Okay, I'll try and continue from where I was. It's Periphery's return to form. I wouldn't say it's as good as P3, maybe on par, maybe better than P4. It's so good. Bringing back with dropping Zagreus and Wildfire on the same single at the same time, same day. It was a great idea. It showed that they were back doing periphery stuff while innovating. Wildfire's jazz section is great. It's weird, but it's great. Zagreus grew on me. I When it first came out, I preferred Wildfire over Zagreus, and Zagreus sort of evened itself out. And then when the album dropped and Dreadful Grass came out, kicked everything out of the water. It's got a nice hook, a good rhythm. They're across the whole album, they're technical as ever. Fantastic songwriting and making it all work together from start to finish, having great instrumental sections. They know when to chill out and when to amp things up, how to make a build up and then make it come crashing down on you, and make each of those guitar strokes hit within your chest and you feel the music. It's fantastic stuff as ever.
Yeah, this is again one of the few albums we actually reviewed on this channel. So if you wish to go watch that video in full, you're more than welcome to get our full opinions on every single song. Um,
My opinions have probably changed because I'm not consistent.
yeah, but overall, this just landed outside of my top 15 thereabouts. I believe this is kind of the album where Periphery have stopped breaking the box in terms of progressive ideas. So this is very much just a Periphery album, which is nothing wrong with that. Um, but they're no longer that band that was transcending music like they were 10 years ago. But again,
It's kind of why Periphery 3 to me is the best one because it's the most different.
yeah,
For
the
me, it's
Prayer Position, Marigold, Loon. I'm pretty sure you can.
Absalom.
Absalom, yeah, you can just list off songs there that really break the wheel, at least at the time. Um, and while
Remaining Doors.
while Gent is not a genre, is by no means a bad album. It's a very good album. It does not break the boxes enough for a Periphery album for me to just edge it into the top 10. Either way, fantastic album. And on to number two. So I've got maybe a lesser known album here at number two with Blood Command
This
World
is going to be a
Domination.
lot of you speaking because I don't know anything about this.
So this is a female fronted band, although I absolutely despise that term. It's not really a genre, but basically, this album is ideal metal punk. They are just going to shout at you for 36 minutes. Uh, some songs I would absolutely recommend: Heaven's Hate and Valley of Heaven, The Plague on Both Your Houses, and It's Not Us, It's Them. So, this is one of them ones that kind of crept up out of nowhere for me. One of them good old Spotify recommendations when you're listening to something and it randomly shuffles onto another band. You're like, oh, that was pretty cool. So you check out what else they've got, and then you're like, oh, they've just released an album last week. So you go through that, and then you end up playing it on repeat for the next 6 months. And that's very much the case here with Blood Command. So I'd highly recommend, if you haven't heard it, to give it a chance. Um, Again, as I said, it's very much a shout in your face for 36 minutes kind of album, but in a very fun way. Again, like with a lot of the list I've got on here, it sort of gives you the mindset I had throughout 2023 of looking for escapism in music via outlets that are angry yet contained. So, without further ado,
Yeah. Yeah. My
your
number two.
your number two,
My number two.
didum.
Unprocessed and everything in between.
Such a
I
good
remember
album,
this
Mark.
one. It is a good album art. So I kind of discovered
Hmm.
was shown. I don't know. I don't remember. Unprocessed in about 2020. I think it was around the time of Dead Rose or Real.
Yeah, they really hit
And
it off then with them. Yeah, so probably.
the technicality that they showed was amazing. It was polyphia with vocals almost, and it was really interesting. That sort of poppy, rocky, technical, prog, mathcore, all sort of mixed into this strange ball, and it got me hooked. And then I went back and listened to the old stuff, and it still has that technicality, but it's far more hard hitting. You've got much more toned down guitars and much harsher vocals from Manuel. And then they released Gold, where all of the singles were fantastic, the songs are fantastic, but it felt drawn out. And then you got this year, where they've gone back to that mostly gone back to that route, gone back to that hard hitting metalcore, mathcore route, but still kept that proggy and poppy to
Mm.
highlight and almost like make it shine to make this album go from beginning to end, banger after banger. I
Yep.
when I was listening to it, I didn't realize until after what had happened and realized, yes, I did enjoy this more than Periphery. Going from thrash with its weird, like, what would you call it? Like almost broken string breakdown,
Mm.
muted breakdown. So bizarre, but worked so well. How many other bands could be able to do that? To the dying on the cross of the martyrs, something along those lines,
Yep.
with Polyphia featuring and the technicality, how well these people can play guitar doesn't make you just want to quit. It makes you want to smash up a guitar store so no one else can ever play guitar again.
Yeah. I agree that this is certainly the album where I think they've really found their footing as a band. Um, I got into them pretty early, probably about 2018, with Covenant and Artificial Void the year after. And as you said, they were pretty run of a mill metalcore band for the time. Some really sort of cool ideas going on there. But then they sort of did the juxtaposition with how talented Manuel was, and they did a tour with Polyphia, I believe in 2019 or 20. I went to. After that, obviously, we got Dead Rose and Gold, which very much follow that sort of Polyphia inspiration. So you've got this like half cast between What they were doing was this like heavily technical guitar parts with a lot of cleans because I imagine they didn't quite know how to combine the metalcore elements just yet. Gold was a brilliant album in its own right. Rain, Velvet, Dinner, The Game, Portrait. All songs that still hold up and are on the playlist today. But and everything in between, it very much is where they've put two and two together. And I know Manuel doesn't want to be known as just that guy with a really fast hand. They want to make music that they care about, and this is the album where I think that they're on the track to keep doing that. So, number one,
Number one.
shall we do it?
Tom's number one.
Drum roll, and it's a non-metal album.
Yay! The Metal Breakdown podcast puts a non-metal album at number.
Yeah,
It's well
so
deserved. It's well
this
deserved.
this is a bit of an unexpected one for me, to say the least, to end up as number one. Uh, no intentions to have it at number one at the start of the year, nor did I even know it was coming out. I've always quite liked the sort of how to describe it, like 80s synth metal, a mix between the two. And this album kind of combines a bunch of genres from a plethora of different decades. To be honest, it's full of features. We've got Tyler Bates, Dave Lombardo, Tim Capello, Milky Way, Lights, John Carpenter, Carpenter Brut, Health,
Health.
Power Glove, Britta Phillips. There's an absolute plethora of supporting artists on these tracks, and it does always fall down to, when doing these top tens, how much do you genuinely listen to an album? And this album for me pretty much was on repeat once it came out, all the way until the end of the year. Some real highlights, I believe, are Postcard from the American Dream. We've got Nuclear Date Night, Doom Dance, Technoir 2, Taste Like Venom, Monster in Paradise. I'd highly recommend listening to this album in full. Even yourself, Connor, who doesn't tend to listen to this type of music, enjoyed the album enough to put it on your recommendations, which I think is
Yeah,
a testament
it's
to
honorable
how
mention.
quality that this album is, even from somebody who not necessarily would be listening to this as a go-to.
Yeah, if you like pretty much any kind of genre that's into rock and electric, probably give this a listen.
Yeah,
It,
there's loads
I
of
stuck
interesting
this on.
elements.
I stuck this on for my mum, and in fairness, not the biggest fan of metal. I stuck on Monster in Paradise, and it reminded her of Aha. So there you go.
Yeah, I think there's just one thing I love is a wide use of instruments in your music, and a winning bonus point for me is having a saxophone solo, which I believe there's two or three in this album, which is just some
Yeah,
bonus brownie
saxophone
points.
solo is always good.
Thank you, Rivers and Hill, for giving me a saxophone solo addiction. But anyhow, let's move on to your number one, Connor.
But no, before I get to my number one,
Ooh, okay.
this is also very, as we said, very 80s, but it's very neon.
Mm,
It's very neon 80s. It's very, if you want to put this into Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, it will fit perfectly.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's very much a metalhead writing electronic music.
It's very good.
That's how I describe it.
Now we can go to my number one.
But
Haken Fauna, just for the album art. The music shit. The end. No, it's, I don't even know where to begin with this. We've
we did the full
mentioned
video, the
earlier we
full
reviewed it.
breakdown.
I don't think it's sunk in that video how good this album is. Where we had Alphabet of Me, which is certainly a highlight of the album, one of the best songs of the year. But after letting it sit, Sempiternal Being just edges it out. It's so fantastic to have a band that can produce such beautiful, progressive, technical music that we've highlighted throughout this video and shitty slideshow, but to be able to make it not acceptable, what's the word, appropriate for the masses, where I could stick this on for most people
Mm.
and they would enjoy it because it's not out there, but it is at the same time.
Yeah,
A lot of people can appreciate it, but people that know music and know music theory, which I
I
can't say that I
agree.
know a lot, is mind blowing.
I'd argue it's a hell of a lot harder to produce an incredibly complex piece of music that is still highly palatable to the modern sort of audience. Um, and I believe Hay can insanely pull it off. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of prog bands out there, and I think I agree with you. Hay can kind of stand head and shoulders right now above the pack, and Fauna's pretty much a statement release, really. Um, I don't think you can really diss any of the 9 songs on the album. I believe everybody will
No,
probably
no.
have a different
Uh,
top song as well from it.
Probably, I've already given mine,
Mine's Elephants Never Forget, which is an 11-minute prog epic, but
which is a banger.
they're all bangers.
Like
It's
all,
as simple as
they
they're all
are all
bangers.
bangers. It's banger from start to finish. Eyes of Ebony is fantastic. Beneath the White Rainbow.
Hmm.
All the singles that we talked about extensively in the
Yep.
review, probably more so than the album songs. But we've had more time to sit with the album. The album's grown, and it's just so damn good. Almost as good as some of their other albums. Maybe some of their other albums are maybe better. To some people, I know some people absolutely love The Mountain, but Fauna might just top them for me.
Yep. So, with that, I believe that's the end of our top 10 list of 2023. We actually got through the video with about 10,000 scuffs, uh, and
A lot of coughing,
a lot of ums,
a lot of
some mic
Oh,
cutouts.
the mic cut out.
Oh yeah,
It's since
this is
nearly
some
1 year
quality
since we
good stuff.
recorded.
Yeah,
This just shows that it's the start of the Tagashi era.
so true. I
That was the first hiatus.
hiatus number one. Let's get ready for another year before we upload again.
Yeah,
Maybe
fuck it. We won't review any albums. We'll just go and do album yearly reviews of the year.
you love to see it. I mean, this year's not started off too hot. I don't think there's much of anything really being released yet this year, has there? In
We've had
2024.
9 days.
That's 9 days too many.
That's 9 days. We're not even there yet. Caligula's horse hasn't even come out yet, and that's
Yeah,
spoilers for next year.
I mean, I guess if we're going to top it off with anything to end our year 2023, who was probably your favourite 3 people you saw live last year?
Oh, you do yours because I need to look mine up. I can't remember. That's not fair.
Sorry, I had to do it to them. I had to do it.
Oh, you just crack that out of nowhere. That's not fair. Holding
It,
Absence were great.
yeah.
Make Them Suffer were great. Uh, all of Download and all of Radar. Haken, BT Bam.
Mm.
God damn, I saw too many good bands this year.
Yeah, Haken Between the Bird and Me up there for me, and Shikari, Holding Absence, uh, Carpenter Brut was absolutely fantastic to see. Perturbator, Uptuda, I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Who knows?
we've got a good gig list already lined up for this year. So
gonna see two bands that appear on this list
Yeah,
at least next month.
and we're both at Download 2024, ready to watch Pantera be racist or something. I
You certainly are. We'll see if I can get it off work. I'll be at Radar Festival. Shout out to Radar Festival for putting on a great festival.
I mean, at least we get to sleep in a nice hotel for Radar. For Download, it's
Oh,
slumming it on the
beautiful.
floor with about 25 drunk people in a pool of mud, dust, or sludge. It depends on the year.
We're young enough to live through it
For now, I don't know about my knees.
for now. Oh, don't remember to actually pack stuff if you're gonna go. Pack good stuff that'll help you and not sleep on the cold, hard floor.
I don't think I will. And with that, good night.